Hello and welcome to 5 Minutes with Shawn, maybe 10. So, we just got back from a gigantic road trip with the family, doing some work, doing some other things. And I have to tell you, what really struck me about being on that trip my wife mainly, but us together a little bit. I'm not really the planner as much, but this idea of plan and execute, right? So, we sit there and we said, all right, we need to hit two major sit downs. We're going to be recording multiple episodes in a day, so we need to get ourselves to Columbus, and then we need to get ourselves to Raleigh. So the plan had to be, all right, where are the stops in between, right? Because we're taking our pups with us who make guest appearances throughout the shows, which is cool. It's fun that way, but we had to plan specifically for them. It's not like you can just wake up and, drive 6 hours without stopping. You're going to need fuel. You're going to need rest stops. You're going to need dog stops. You're going to need to go through all those things, right? So that's just kind of the beginning phases of planning for us for this trip. So we wanted to make sure that we had it. Then I had to go and look at housing. But I could only look at housing for the beginning and end of the trip because the middle of the trip was kind of up in the air. Because we had some personal time that we, could kind of get away and do what we felt and go where we wanted. So in looking at this and trying to get together a plan to be away from our house, our office, our home base for 7 days, it took a ton of thoughts. It took a ton of discussion, research, all of these things. So that, again, we could really set ourselves up for success because that was the goal here, was to go out and not only record some great content, which forget about it. We went and well exceeded that. The dealers we sat with, the people we sat with were incredible. But again, I don't want it to be lost on the fact that not only did we had to plan how we were going to get there, but once we were there, we had to have a plan, right? We had people's time that was, that were depending on us. So dealers and vendors alike were coming to sit down with us, and we needed to make sure that we had them scheduled appropriately, what worked best for them, what worked best for us, and really have the whole plan come together. So we arrived in Columbus. I thought everything on the plan was ready to go. Turns out I was given one duty, kind of two duties. So those of you who know me or have known me know that I'm kind of the talking head. I'm the front man of this group. I am not the planner on the back end. I am not the producer on the back end. But for this trip, I was given two things to do. Thing number one, Shawn, pack your clothes. I could do that. Thing number two, bring all the gear you need to record the CarBiz Chronicles. Well, I thought I had done that. And it turns out that when I arrived in Columbus, I realized that I did not have the charger to my laptop. And any of you that use a laptop know there's no way your laptop will run for more than 5 minutes anymore unless it's plugged into the wall. So immediately panic ensued because I'm like 15 minutes away from first shoot. Again, I have people on a schedule. I have things that I have to get done right now. Luckily, the lifesaver known as Bill Schomburg was available and there. And Bill, as calm as anyone I see. And again, this wasn't like high pressure, okay? We're not talking crazy. But I was a little flustered because I'm in the middle of something and I know my charger is 600 miles the other direction, north, right? So I know I'm not getting the charger. So Dave from AutoSuite comes in. He's like, no big deal, huge electronics store. Bill takes it upon himself without question, without being asked. He says, I got it. I'll handle it. Couldn't even turn around fast enough, give the guy the company credit card. He was gone, right? So I'm trying to set up the rest of the show. I'm trying to make sure that everything else is where it needs to be, considering I have forgotten the one main piece that I needed. So I was freaking out what else I needed. Turns out I was 95% of the way there. 5% was the charger I was missing. 10 minutes later, Bill walks in, charger in hand, crisis averted. So as a part of the plan, right, when we make plans, we're going to have things that come up. We're going to have detours. We're going to have issues. In our case, we're going to have missed technology. That's my bad. But in most cases, the plan can still be deviated and we can get right back on plan, which is exactly what we did. Turned out we had an incredible day in Columbus, and then from there we planned the trip. But really, I have to get into my wife's part of this. So my wife, for our dogs are, they're spoiled, right? They're older, they're completely spoiled. They get whatever they want. And our oldest now has been given a completely human diet, right? That's all she eats is human food. So my wife, leading up to this trip, has to food prep a ton of food just for the dog alone, okay? I'm talking a full cooler for the dog for 7 days. So she's got to get that ready. Then she comes to me and she says, you know what? I'm going to handle this. I'm going to take care of all of our stuff. We're not going to have to stop for food and gas. We're just going to bring our own food, pre-cooked. I thought, oh my God, how is she going to pull this off? Now, she has history in pulling this off. She's done this before. We've gone away for weekend excursions and never even walked inside of a restaurant. Okay, that's just how this girl rolls. Now, we need to make sure we stay at places like Airbnbs, home away from homes, so that we have everything that we need, right? So we're in the same place with regards to that. We know, hey, they got a kitchen. They got, that was, again, in planning, looking at houses to rent, you had to make sure that they had full kitchens. They had full fridges because we're bringing a full amount of food. Hotels were never going to be able to keep what we had cold. It wasn't going to be a thing. So she plans through this. Now, I'm going to tell you something that you may or may not believe, but it is the damn truth. We spent less than $100 on food, eating out food, while we were on a 7-day road trip across the country. Now, for those of you who road trip with kids, maybe you sit here and you say to yourself, Shawn, that's nothing. If you had kids, you'd know. Well, I don't. So this is as close as I get, right? Because I got my dogs, and my dogs are my kids. So I didn't, that's as far as I can tell you. But this planning and preparation really caught me by surprise, right? So then every time we get in the car, we're like, all right, cool, where are we heading? Boom, girls got a spot. We got to go here. It's about 2.5 hours away. Dogs can get out and potty. We can go for a walk. We can do this. We can do that. And just continue to kill it along the trip. I mean, she had the whole thing planned. Each and every direction, stops, where to go, how to get it, making sure, if we ran out of fuel, she was on top of that as far as like fuel lights on. She's already looking into it. I mean, she continues to have this plan and she continues to execute on it. I was so impressed. So what I want to impress upon people, and especially my friends at the dealerships, is that, guys, we have to have a plan. It's fourth quarter. Now, should you already have your fourth quarter plan? Yeah, you should have had it like 2 quarters ago. But let's assume you don't. You've got, well, really no time at all, right? Because today basically is the start of the fourth quarter. We've got to have a plan of what we're going to do. So how many cars are we going to sell, and how the hell are we going to sell so many, right? And what are we going to base that on? Are we going to base it on previous year? Are we going to base it on previous month? Are we going to use the OEM's plan? What exactly are we going to do? Because here we are, right? Fourth quarter. We'll use the road trip analogy, right? You're on the road trip, fourth quarter, kind of that end part of the trip. Do you have all that you need? Do you have all the team that you need, right? So in my case, it was making sure I had the wife and the dogs with me everywhere I went. Do you have the path, right? So for us, it was knowing, is there construction? Is there an accident? Do we need to make a detour, right? But for you guys, it's all right. I know how many cars I have on ground. I know how many cars I have to sell. I know how many salespeople I have. Gross profit averages that we're trying to hit. F&I penetration. You guys are going through all of these things. You know them, right? But planning is one thing. Executing is another. I find it obviously easier to execute because that's who I am. I'm a guy who gets a plan in front of him and does it. Am I the one that comes up with the plan? A little bit, but not so much, right? That goes for both my wife and my business partner. They really are the yin to the yang that I am as far as knowing what needs to be done and getting it done. In your dealerships, you have those people. Make sure you're utilizing them. Make sure every day you come to these people and you say to yourself, hey, I've got a plan and I need your help to execute. Let me tell you something. If I try to get this road trip done by myself, first of all, there would be no food. There would be no dogs. I'd be eating out everywhere, and I couldn't have had a plan together to bring them with me. So you always need people around you who you trust, who you know can see your vision and execute on it. Now, I had the vision. I had the road trip in mind. I knew what I wanted to do. But could I do it all? Could I make it happen by myself? Certainly not. So make sure you're surrounded by people, not only in fourth quarter, but moving forward, that you trust to help execute on your plan. I think in fourth quarter, I would like to hear from folks about what the plan was. And then in the beginning of next year, I'd like to hear about the execution side of things. It's 3 months. It's a grind, right? Just like a 300-mile road trip is a grind. You have to be able to sit down and get the job done. So for all of you thinking about fourth quarter, I hope you already have a plan in place, and I look forward to seeing how you execute on that plan. Next week, we're going to have Chris Kasurk, good friend of mine, known for over a decade now, F&I guy out in Colorado for my visit out there. That was supposed to be vacation. I ended up putting him on the show. It was absolutely awesome. Chris is coming on next week, and the week after that, get ready for a little bit of a 5-minute surprise. I don't know. I think you're all going to like it, but we'll see. As always, you can reach me, Shawn, 262-278-0157. Shawn, Sean, at CarBiz Done Better. You find me all over LinkedIn. You'll also find me pretty much all over my text messaging and phone calls, but the other networks, not so much. So hopefully you enjoyed this week. I know you're going to enjoy next week's sit down for F&I. And don't forget about that surprise coming in too. Thanks.